Hello grade 12 students preparing to sit the IB exam. Today I'd like to talk to you about the glossary of command terms. Now, as I'm always telling you, the command word is the word at the beginning of the question in your exam paper that is supposed to tell you how you are supposed to answer the question. Now, there are many command words used in business, and basically they come into 4 different levels. The first level are the easy ones: classify, complete, define, which means you give a meaning or an explanation, describe, talk about the characteristics of what's happening, identify, which means you simply have to pick out something, or outline, which means just say something about what is happening with the situation. Now, the ones I'd like to talk about, of course, are the harder ones that come in category 3 or 4. The category 4 ones are the hardest ones, of course. Advise, discuss, evaluate, justify, recommend, and our old favourite, to what extent. So what do they mean? Okay. So, analyse means break down in order to bring out the essential elements, structure, any underlying assumptions and any interrelationships involved. An example would be analyse the impact of external opportunities and threats on the business strategy of Company A. Discuss. Discuss means to offer a considered and balanced review of a particular topic. Opinions or conclusions should be presented clearly and supported by empirical evidence and sound argument. So, in other words, you need to be able to draw on data and evidence to support what you are saying. An example of it: discuss how the introduction of an employee share ownership scheme could affect motivation for employees of Company X. Evaluate. Remember, I'm always telling you about that word evaluate and how it's down the bottom of the flow chart. Evaluate means make an appraisal by weighing up the strengths and limitations of different evidence and arguments. So, in other words, what I tell you about giving advantages and disadvantages to the particular scenario presented to you. The example here is evaluate the option of accelerating Company X's overseas development through the use of franchising or joint ventures. Examine. Examine means consider an argument or a concept in a way that uncovers the assumptions and interrelationships of the issue. So in other words, you're making links between the various concepts and possibly even the various topic areas of the course. An example would be examine Company X's present marketing approach in the light of changes in the external environment. Then we have justify. Justify means provide evidence to support or defend a choice, decision, strategy or course of action. So in other words, you have to be able to back up anything you write with evidence. To what extent? Now, this is one of the toughest ones to answer. To what extent means to evaluate the success or otherwise of an argument or concept. Any opinions or conclusions that you give should be presented clearly and supported with empirical evidence, in other words, data, and sound argument. Okay, so back it up with theory that you know as well. So, in other words, you could have an example such as, to what extent was the marketing strategy of Company X successful? Advise. Advise is another one. So, offer suggestions or recommendations for a potential course of action. So, an example of that could be advise the human resources manager on the use of both monetary and non-monetary rewards to improve staff motivation at XYZ. So for that particular scenario, you would have to look at the evidence given in the case study and use that evidence with the knowledge of your theory to advise the HR manager on what rewards to use. Apply means use an idea, principle or theory in relation to a problem or issue. So, for example, applying Maslow's motivation theory, suggest a new rewards package for employees of company X. So, of course, there you would have to talk about and describe Maslow's motivation theory and how it applies to the rewards package for that particular. The last two that I'd like to talk about are interpret and recommend. Interpret means use your knowledge and understanding to explain and, where appropriate, draw inferences from a given situation, problem or issue. So, in other words, you've got to be able to use your theory and your linking of concepts to be able to understand and explain, drawing inferences from a given situation, probably from the material in the case study in the question from the exam. An example would be calculate and interpret the value of the sales variance for XYZ Limited. So, in other words, say what is the implications of that sales variance. Recommend, I think most of you have got a fairly good idea of that from writing your reports. Present an advisable course of action with appropriate supporting evidence and reasons. So, in other words, make some recommendations, but also give your reasons for those recommendations. An example would be recommend a suitable growth strategy for company X. Well, I hope that's going to help you with your exam, and I hope that you go into the exam prepared with a good understanding of all of those command terms so that you can proceed straight away without wondering too much what they're asking of you in terms of the question. Okay, good luck with that.